This
he can't.
conference will now be recorded.
You can go ahead.
Okay. I think Sunish is there. I think he was giving some introduction.
Okay. Suniti is not done yet. Sunit, go ahead, Sunit. Sorry, Sunish, right? Sunish, right?
Hello, Sunish. Can you hear us? Hello.
Sunish might be in mute, it seems.
Yeah. Okay. Let us start. Maybe.
1 minute, Virendra. I'm checking off.
Once I think. Okay.
Sunish, we can't hear you, Sunish. Can you repin your audio once, or else rejoin once? Okay, Virendra, you can start up. Okay, I'll just check with him. You can start up.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Hi. First of all, thanks for the introduction, and also thanks for taking out the time for this. S4HANA 1909 SAP TM. So today, so just to give a brief introduction on myself, I am Virendra, and I've been working into the SAP space for the last more than 15 years, and primarily into like the logistics part, and also including the transportation and the warehousing. So to start off, like today, why we are looking for SAP TM? Okay, I understand, like most of you are from the logistics background, but so it is very important that I should always spell out, like, from where the transportation management module originated, or rather why the transportation management module is the future roadmap for any type of logistics in the SAP S4HANA space. Okay, so for any type of scenarios, basically most of you are from SDMM skill set. So in any of the inbound or outbound process, wherever whether it is related to any type of manufacturing industry, warehousing, anywhere we have used. So logistics execution was the part which was mainly responsible for taking care of your transportation process. So when I say logistics execution part, mainly it starts from your shipment. So that means once your delivery is happening, from there, once your picking, packing, PGI is done, so that means the goods are ready to be dispatched or departed from your specific warehouses or your plant. From there, the logistics execution module starts. So if you see the SAP's different variants, what we use for logistics execution, mainly it was the shipment document creation, and then we had the shipment cost document creation, and then we used to do the accrual posting, followed by the invoice verification. So this was the part which we used to cover under logistics execution. But there were a lot of challenges when we used to build this solution using logistics execution. So do you feel like most of you are quite experienced? So what do you feel the major challenges were when we were implementing logistics execution? Any idea? Any input?
Yeah, this is Sunish here. So one of the challenge that we are facing normally in ACC. So when you have the multiple ship to parties, definitely you should have the different ship to the one document. So this is one of the challenge I would say.
Yeah, you are correct. So basically, in addition, if I just surface it into 3 or 4 different components. First was that there was a missing link between your planning and your execution part. Okay. See, whenever you are doing any type of transportation planning, the planning obviously depends on your delivery date of your customer, right? By when the customer should reach the product should reach the customer premises. So for that, you have to do some planning, because without planning, what will happen? We have to do planning mainly for two reasons. One, the route optimization, and second, the cost optimization, because ultimately all are into a business, right? And for business you need to make sure that if your planning is not done properly, your logistical cost, which occupies around 15 to 17% of your total production, means total cost of your operation, is quite huge. Okay. So to have a very good linkage between the execution part and the planning part, we needed something. Because in the logistics execution, if you see directly from delivery, you used to just create the shipment and then our process is to progress. But that is actually not the case. You should have the process of consolidation. You should have the process of how the cheapest mode of transport can be used so that the execution can happen accordingly. Which are the carriers you should select based on their availability, based on their particular carrier selection process, which should be responsible for doing the actual execution. Okay. Plus, what are the different parameters you need to consider in order to create the actual shipment cost? Okay. So this planning, execution, and costing, these 3 things were actually in silos when we were working in logistics execution. So what TM does, TM actually brings all these 3 components together under one umbrella, that is under SAP Transportation Management module. So if you see my slide pack, basically you will see here that there are 4 different components of TM. The first component is your order management. The second component is your planning. The third component is your execution, followed by the logistical charge calculation, and the fourth column is your settlement process. So all these 4 processes are integrated and binded in such a way that one cannot go without the other. So in this way, what happens? Both your input and output for any type of TM process are very well integrated. So you have a very strong linkage across each other, and everyone, both from interior of your organization as well as your external person who wants to view the shipment as a whole, can have an end-to-end understanding of what is the status of your shipment and how much actually you are really paying for the shipment. So what SAP has done, SAP has actually brought this TM module as a main replacement of your shipment. Okay. So when you go to S4HANA, you will find obviously some few changes are there. Mainly the shipment document, which is your VT01, and your shipment cost document, which is your VI01, has been replaced by freight order and freight settlement document. Okay. So when you go into S4HANA, don't be confused by the fact that we are not using shipment. No, we are using shipment, but the shipment, basically the object is changed, and also the way to do your shipment process has also become changed. So if I now go through the 4 different pillars, before going into the 4 pillars, one more thing I just tell you, that SAP has already planned to stop all the developments for logistics execution. So that means after 2027, initially it was 2025. So after 2027, all the the development support, OSS supports, all will be stopped for your logistics execution. So in that case, what will happen? In that case, all the clients has to move to S4HANA. That is one way. And if they are moving into S4HANA, they need to take up SAP Transportation Management as a core module to perform their logistics inbound and outbound execution. So considering that in mind, you know, like the more faster or earlier you are into this particular SAP TM module, you know, the more you know, the demand you will be in today's market. Okay, because ultimately this is the module which is going to be there and which is in the future roadmap of all SAP logistical process. Ones are mainly related to the transportation. So any question before I move into those 4 pillars? No question from anyone?
So one basic question.
Yeah.
So how this freight order and freight unit will be connected to deliveries? I mean, earlier we used to connect directly to shipment and deliveries. So how it will work in TM? Deliveries assignment?
Yeah, no. So before you were using TM, we did not have any object called as freight unit or freight order, right? Freight unit, freight order actually originated from TM component. Okay. So now I will tell you, first of all, let me go through these 4 pillars. What does these 4 pillars do for TM? And then I will answer your question how we are linking it. Okay.
Okay.
So the first pillar, yeah. So the first pillar is the order management pillar. Order management means what? Order management means basically TM creates for 2 industry scenarios. One is for shipper scenario and another is for LSP scenario. So in our course, more in a course content, we are actually dealing, or I will show you both the scenarios, because whatever industries you work, for whichever clients you work, for whichever lines of business you work, you have to work either under a shipper scenario or a LSP scenario. Okay. So what is a shipper? Shipper scenarios main business is not transportation. Their main business is manufacturing, warehousing, inventorizing, procurement, selling. And this is only possible when you have your standard ECC in place. So for a shipper scenario, you need to have your ECC. That means your basic sales order creation, purchase order creation, stock transport order creation, outbound delivery creation, inbound delivery creation. All this is mandatory to be done before you actually trigger your TM process for a shipper scenario. But for a LSP scenario, as LSP means I am selling my transportation service. Companies like FedEx, UPS, who sells transportation service, their core business is transportation. They don't require any ECC order or delivery to be in place because they are not a shipper. They are acting as a freight forwarder. They are acting as a company who are selling their service to make the goods move from one location to another location. That is what is called as a freight forwarder industry. So the order management basically starts, if I'm talking about shipper, you need to have an order or delivery in place before you trigger a requirement in TM. Requirement means that particular order or delivery document needs to have a link with your TM system, and that first linking is done through a document called as a freight unit. So what does a freight unit contain? So the output of your order management is your freight unit. Always remember that. See, in transportation, we mainly require 3 important information: what to transport, how to transport, and when to transport. So transport means what? Movement of your product from one location to another location. That is, in simple words, it is called as a transportation. Now, what to transport means what product, what cargo item, what container, what pallet you want to transport. Obviously, that will come based on a sales order or delivery. When to transport? When to transport means every customer order or delivery has a requested delivery date. So that means you know that by this date, I need to make the goods available to my customer. So this requested delivery date is providing as a reference for your when to transport. And finally, how to transport. How to transport means there are different types of means of transport, different types of resource which is there. Resource means it can be a truck, it can be ship, it can be flight, it can be rail, it can be barge, it can be postal service, anything. So all this information you will find in your freight unit. So that's what we say. whenever your ECC has to be integrated with transportation management, the linkage of the transportation requirement from your ECC to TM happens through freight unit. So freight unit is the first technical object which is created in TM, and it can be triggered either from your order. That means when you are creating a sales order, purchase order, it can trigger a freight unit, or it can also be triggered from your outbound delivery or inbound delivery. So the output of your
Can I ask you one question
yeah,
here?
tell me.
So
Yes.
as you mentioning here, it is the freight unit would be the first document in the TM. This is what your point. If it is in case of
Yes.
ship, then what do we call it as OTR, order based requirement
Yes.
document?
So I will come to this OTR based, because when you are moving into S4HANA, your first object created is freight unit. OTR and DTR. So OTR and DTR was the part which we used to have in standalone.
Okay.
So OTR, DTR was nothing but it used to replicate your order or delivery. Only the transportation relevant information from order or delivery used to pass into OTR if it is created from order, or DTR if it is created from delivery, and then the freight unit is to be created automatically. But in S4HANA, in S4HANA, because it is a single instance, single system, same system, you don't need to replicate the requirement document again. That was required because there were two different instances.
Yep.
And you used to have a middleware.
Yep, that's fine.
Okay.
Got it.
So any question on the first pillar, order management? Okay. So now you have your freight unit created. Now you know, okay, I have a document in TM. Yeah.
Sorry to disturb you. So how this freight unit will be triggered? Is any outputs or files will be triggered from ECC to TM, or how it will be triggered? Is any
It is triggered. Yeah. So I tell you, so freight unit creation does not happen manual. It is always an automatic thing. Okay. You'll not have the option to create it manually. And that creation is triggered based on specific parameters. Like for example, if you want to integrate your TM with delivery document, so you need to tell that for which delivery type, for which shipping point, for which shipping condition, my freight unit is to be created. If you are integrating with your order level, then you need to specify for which sales org, for which distribution channel, for which order type, my freight unit is to be created. And this freight unit creation is basically, there is a profile which we call as a logistics profile. That logistics profile is actually responsible for linking your ECC order and delivery type information to TM. So that is a bridge, that logistics profile. And that logistics profile will tell you how many freight units will be created. So suppose if in one order or in one delivery, you have got 10 different line items, right? So whether you create one freight unit or 10 different freight units, that is controlled by a rule within a freight unit called as a freight unit building rule. So to answer your question, the freight unit is created automatically, and the mechanism by which the freight unit gets created is determined by the freight unit building rule within your profile.
okay?
So all those things I'll show you in the configuration, in the front end, in the end user level also. Every field what we have, every configuration I'll show you how it basically controls the between your ECC to TM. Okay, so now you have your freight unit created. Please note, freight unit is a planning. That means till now we have not started any execution. Execution means the actual movement of your cargo has not happened till now. Why? Because the second pillar, which is the planning pillar, is very important. What does the planning pillar do? So planning in TM is done within a planning tool called as a planning cockpit. So planning cockpit means what? Here we have a transportation planner. So the transportation planner basically will check which are my freight units that needs to be executed, right? Because now the execution has to be start, right? That means the shipment document has to create. Till now, no shipment document has been created. Now, in order to create a shipment document, you need to know who is the carrier who needs to do the shipment, which is the mode of transport I need to use so that my transportation process can start, and finally what is the that resource I'm going to use so that the actual transportation can happen. As I told you, your mode of transport can be road, rail, sea, air, anything. According to your resource can also vary, right? So for example, if you are transporting, or if you need to transport around 50 tons of certain product, you need to search across a particular resource like a truck which is above 50 ton, right? Because if it is less than 50 ton, it will not suffice your requirement, correct? So resource selection, carrier selection, route optimization, so these are the three major things what a planner has to consider so that the goods can be delivered by the requested delivery date. So these all things are done within a planning tool called as a planning cockpit. So this planning cockpit is part of the second pillar, what we call as a transportation planning. So what is the input to a transportation planning? Freight unit and resource. And the output of your planning is a freight order or freight booking. Freight order means if you are using the mode of transport road or rail. A freight booking is if your mode of transport is ocean or air. So input is your freight unit resource, output is your freight order freight booking, which is nothing but it's your shipment document, so that your execution can start in the third pillar. Any question?
Yeah, can I ask you one question?
Yes.
Let's say our shipment is suppose going from let's say Cochin to New York. So
Yeah.
the routes or the transportation mode that we selected. Let's say from Cochin to Bangalore, it is going in air. From Cochin to Chennai. Cochin to Chennai, it is going in air. From Chennai to let's say New York, it is going in sea. From New York to customer place, it is going in truck. So we are using the three different mode of transportation, right? So in such situation, how do we plan?
Okay. I am sharing one PPT. Just 1 minute. Sorry, not this one. You have come across to a very good question, but I have the answer for you because this is just the same scenario what we always set up in the system. Can you see can you see it?
Yep, yep.
See, if you see here, this is a shipment where my source location is at Germany, which is at Cologne, and my
Right,
end location is Chicago, which is US. Okay,
right.
so when
Yep,
your freight unit will be created, freight unit creation will be of a single stage. Why single stage? It is always considered from source to destination. In TM to ECC integration, source location is your shipping point. Always remember this. Source location is my shipping point and my ship to party is my destination location. So that means Cologne is my shipping point and Chicago is my destination location. So
right,
because shipping point and ship to party is there in your sales order, so when my freight unit gets created, it creates of a single stage with this information. Okay. Now if you see, so that is my ordered route. So that is the route which is actually ordered by the customer, right? Because he's not interested whether you are putting it into an intermediate port or not, correct?
right,
But the actual route, if you see it halts at an intermediate point at two ports, Bremen port or Newark port, correct?
right,
So this Bremen port and Newark port is the port. These are the intermediate transports which is determined by the carrier. This is the actual route. Okay. So actual route is different from ordered route because you can understand if you are telling a carrier, okay, come to my premise, pick up suppose to 500 metric tons of certain bulk product and you transfer to US. But the carrier says, okay, if I do it in that way, it will be a big loss for me because I want to do a FTL or a full truck load or a full full shipping load, right? So I
yeah,
want to do a full container load. So in that case, he has to consolidate other requirements from another ADC customers as well, right? And he also has to consider the cost, correct? Instead of
right,
going through flight, if it takes by ship or by truck, it will help him to cover some of the logistical cost also, correct? So what
Right.
we do when during the times of planning, so during the times of planning, planner has got two options. In the freight unit, either he can break down all the stages into three stages. First stage from Cologne to my port of Bremen, from port of Bremen to port of Newark, and port of Newark to Chicago. He can do it in the freight unit stages. So there will be three stages. Stage 1, you plan that freight unit to a freight order. Stage 2, you plan the freight unit to a freight booking. At stage 3, that is in the delivery phase, you do it to a freight order. That is one option. So in order to have multiple stages in a freight unit, we have multiple options. We can use the default route option. Okay, so plus Incoterm option. There are many options for that. But what we do, generally planner wants that because freight unit should always be of a single stage. What he will do, he will create a intermediate booking port to port. Okay, so he will create a freight booking port to port, that means across the two ports based on schedule from the shipper, and then he will assign the freight unit to a freight booking. So what will happen in that case, because the freight booking is from port to port and the freight unit is from shipping point to the ship to party, automatically the stages in your freight unit will be splitted automatically. So in that case, what he will do, he will assign the freight unit to the freight booking, and then he will find three different stages. Stage 1, the pickup stage, which is to be executed by truck. Stage 2 is the ocean, and stage 3 is again by truck. So in this way, we can see the multimodal transport happens.
Yeah.
How you, I mean, first, yeah, please.
Yeah, tell me.
Somebody was asking, please continue.
Yeah, the basic question, first of all, thanks for explaining in detail. The basic intention of the question I ask, so how many freight unit would be created, and as well as with reference to that, how many freight order we have to create on this case? We'll create only one freight unit and one freight orders, or
Yes.
we'll create the multiple orders?
No. So if your freight unit, as I told you, if you are moving for a creation of freight unit at a header level, you can create one freight unit, but there will be three different shipment documents. Stage 1 will be freight order, stage 2 will be freight booking, stage 3 will be freight order. That means one freight unit, three freight documents.
Okay.
Because
So
freight unit always considers from source to destination, right?
yeah,
That's
the
what I told
freight,
you.
yeah. So the one freight order cannot have that multiple stages, right? So that way we cannot
Because
map.
mode of transport is different. Yeah,
Okay.
mode of transport is different. Because
So
freight order is for only road and rail.
okay. So which means that the point is freight order always will applicable for only the unique carriers. This is what you mean to say, right?
No, that depends on stage and the mode of transport.
Okay.
If
Okay.
you're, as I told you, there will be three stages here, right?
Yeah.
Stage 1 and stage 3 is for road because you will
Okay.
be using truck, and
Yeah.
stage 2 because it is on ocean, so you'll use freight booking. So
Right.
freight order, freight booking technically same, only different is in terms of mode of transport. And because the actual routing is
Okay.
separated into three different stages,
Yeah. Yeah.
so either you can have a single carrier who can provide you the same level of transportation for freight order, freight booking, or you will create three different stages and three different carrier. It can also be possible.
Yeah. Okay. That's fine. Thank you. Thank you, Vera.
It's like a shipment document. Just in shipment, you
Yeah.
had stages, if you
Yeah.
recollect.
Yeah. Right.
It's something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
So I
Just
go
coming
back to this.
back to
Yeah,
one
yeah. Tell me.
more question over there. In the same figure, I mean, once you have a particular order, what is the role of the carrier comes in? I mean, for example, I am using an LSP scenario. Okay,
Yes.
so now I have a shipment from shipment from Singapore to Chicago or whatever, having different modes of transport, truck, ocean, and again truck or air, whatever. So
Yes.
I mean, the carrier selection. I mean, how what are the critical factors in it? And I mean, if you can explain a bit about the carrier selection part?
Yeah. So first of all, we need to know what is a carrier. How does a carrier fit in transportation industry? So carrier actually are the business partners who are responsible for doing the actual execution. So if you studied in your erstwhile ECC, logistics execution, you used to have in your shipment document forwarding agent, right? Forwarding agent means they were the people who are actually responsible for doing the execution. So for example, I am a shipper. I am manufacturing my goods. I want to send the goods from my premise to a premise in New York, just to give an example. So for that, what I have to do? Suppose I have my own truck, but I need someone to drive the truck, right? Or maybe I appoint some carrier who will actually do the pickup from my warehouse and dispatch it to the New York office, right? So carrier are actually the main execution guys. That means your shipment can begin only once you have a carrier in your transportation process, or else your movement of your shipment will never happen. All will be in, as of now, if you see, we are all in the planning phase. Once my freight order is created, then only my actual execution can start. Okay, and for that you need a carrier. That is the first question. The second answer to your question, how is carrier selection done? Carrier selection can be done in multiple ways. You can, first of all, carrier selection can be done based on cost, based on priority. Also, it can be done based on business shares, based on allocations. It can be done also based on tendering, based on strategic freight procurement. So SAP has given number of tools for that. Okay, not all tools are used everywhere, because if you are doing mainly manual planning, so all the business, generally the shipper scenario I have seen, they are more comfortable in putting the carrier manually because they have a lot of flexibility to adjust. Okay, because see, planning can be done two ways, automatic and manual. Automatic means you completely rely on your data creation and the system will automatically do a carrier selection. That is one thing. Manual selection means you have the option to basically tweak your particular system behavior and assign the carrier according to the needs for that particular lane and all. Okay, so but in standard, as I told you, tendering can be done, strategic freight procurement can be done. So these are different methods and tools which are available for your carrier selection.
Okay, so in this case, for example, let's take a LSP scenario. Okay, so the shipper scenario, it's quite fine. I can use any of the truck to and fro, whichever way I want. LSP scenario, if we take this particular carrier selection is very critical, right, for them, because it is an added cost. Every carrier movement is an added cost for them. So,
Yes.
In this particular case, as you said, I mean, in S4HANA, your freight order, your order or your OTR and your DTR, which is your order and your delivery, which used to get into the freight. In S4HANA, it will be replaced, and your delivery or order will create a freight order, right?
Freight unit from freight unit will create a freight order.
Freight order. Yeah. Okay. And I mean,
freight.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm concerned
No,
about.
tell me.
Just on the carrier selection part. For example, if I have an order which is kind of a 2,000 tons, okay, and which requires a 60-feet container, okay, and I want my system to propose that 60-feet container to me rather than giving the options for the user to select it. Okay.
Yeah. So what you will do for that, when you will create a freight booking, first of all, you will maintain there, okay, I need to transport 2 container which has a capacity of 60 cubic meter. So you will send the freight booking to the carrier. There is a particular status there, send booking to carrier. So once the send booking to carrier is triggered, either you can set up some output, or you can use some services which will directly send this particular freight order or freight booking to the carrier. The carrier will review the contents of the order of booking, and if they find that it is okay with them, they will send a confirmation back again, either through the service, or you can also use some portal and all, where you can have a communication between your TM system and the portal through EDIs and all, through which the communication will happen, and you'll have a status message back into TM that carrier has confirmed that he can take up the capacity. Now, first, the second option is, how do you select which carrier is there? So for that, what you have to do, as I told you, carrier selection methods are there. Okay, so that is valid for both shipper as well as LSP. Okay, so what we do, generally we first create an RFQ. We can create an RFQ, request for quotation. In that request for quotation, we can specify, okay, this is the source, this is the destination, and this is what the requirement is about. That mainly, for example, I want a 20-feet container or 40-feet container. So then once this RFQ is sent to the carrier in the portal or through EDI receives that, and then accordingly they send the quotation back. Okay, so they submit the quotation. If they are okay with it, it comes back to TM. If they are submitting some changes and all, they say, no, we cannot submit you 20-feet container, we can say only provide you 30-feet container. So it may send the information back into TM again. But generally what happens, based on an RFQ, you receive a quotation, and based on the quotation, the planner will actually evaluate if the quotation cost and all, the delivery date, the capacity, everything is in conformance. If that is the case, then only they will basically say, okay, then you are selected for that. We will award you the freight order to your ID. That means the freight order will be tendered to the particular carrier. That is for a tendering. But SAP has given a new option in SFP process, whereby directly you have the option to create a freight agreement. You can also create directly an agreement with your carrier in case the carrier quotation and all is within the validity periods and if the cost and all is okay. So you do a carrier comparison, and the cheapest or the most suitable carrier, you directly create a freight agreement on that. So that is also another option you have. So these are different tools through which you need to monitor how the carrier selection can be done. So for that, we have a role of TM called as a carrier contract specialist. So this contract specialist role actually does this thing only. They review the capacity, they send out the quotation, evaluate the quotation, creates a carrier ranking, and then submit, and then decide who will be the best carrier to execute the shipment.
Okay.
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 Any other question? Okay. Now we are going to the third stage, which is the execution stage. Execution means what? Your freight order is created, shipment is ready. Now it is ready to depart. So there are different milestones which we need to control here, like whether the shipment is departing, arriving, loading has started, loading has begun, unloading has finished, unloading has started, whether you get a proof of delivery. So all this will indicate the execution status of your shipment. So what is execution? Execution means the actual physical movement of your shipment. Okay, so and all these statuses are triggered based on the execution status. That's why SAP has brought about a very good pillar. It's very important, which we did not have previously in our early part, to monitor the shipment, to have a tracking and tracing of your shipment, to have a visibility of your shipment. Because how do I know if my shipment is departing or arriving? We did not know, right? Okay, it is very important. Even the customers sometimes pay extra amount to view the shipment visibility. Okay, so execution means the actual movement of the truck is happening now. So so that can be done using various types, like you have certain statuses which you can do it. You have to set up an interface with your carrier. The carrier can report, okay, my departure arrival has happened. Or you can use SAP event management to do the tracking and the tracing. But the problem is SAP event management is not supported in the embedded structure. Either you have to buy a license, external license to track and trace, or you have to do this then status manually update in your TM to have a visibility of your shipment. So this is the third pillar. What is the execution pillar?
And one
Then,
more point, you were telling that in going ahead in S4HANA, I mean, from a shipment point of view, nothing will be there, right? The normal conventional shipping will not be there, but everything has to go through transportation, right? That was the statement. Right.
Yes. There will be no shipment document, there will be no shipment cost document. The shipment document is replaced by freight order, and the shipment cost document will be replaced by a freight settlement process, which I am now explaining, the fourth pillar.
Okay.
Now
Yeah.
suppose the goods,
Yeah, Veera, from which version onwards so this has been started? Is it in 1809 or 1909?
no, 17.
1709 still we can access the VI01 and VT01, right?
No, that is there. Oh,
Yeah.
I thought when embedded TM. VT01, VI01 is still there. What I'm saying, if you are using an embedded content of TM, okay,
Okay.
then you don't need to use VT01, VI01. But if you are not using the embedded content of TM, then SAP's proposition is obviously, if you are not using embedded TM, then you obviously have to use through VT01, VI01. Okay. But SAP's roadmap says that if you are using embedded TM, then you should not use VT01, VI01.
Okay. So when we talk about this embedded part, so how the licensing will goes? Is it the same? It will comes under the S4 license or the TMs?
Yes.
We have to take the separate one.
Maybe just give me 5 minutes. Let me just complete this component part. I will explain to you on the licensing. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. So just 5 minutes I require on to explain this. So now what happens once your execution part, that means for example, the customer receives the goods, the trucker goes, collects the proof of delivery. Proof of delivery is also a milestone which can be reported in your event management system, POD. Now what happens? Now the thing is that you need to pay to the carrier, right? Because as a shipper, my carrier has done his job. He has got the goods available to the customer. Now you need to pay to the carrier. How you want to pay? That means how much amount you need to pay him. So for that, what happens? We need to have an agreement created with the carrier that okay, if we're moving from this location to this location, or if we're carrying around 500 tons of product, I pay you this much. So that part is taken care by TCM. TCM means Transportation Charge Management Framework. It's a framework like your pricing procedure, which will actually determine how much logistical cost or shipment cost is calculated once the shipment reaches from your source to destination. So once your freight order is created, if you have an agreement with your carrier, then automatically charge calculation will happen in your freight order. And once the charge calculation is happening in freight order, you create a shipment cost document, which is nothing but it's a settlement process, which is the fourth pillar. So this settlement document is nothing but it's a draft invoice. Why draft? Because you don't do any account determination here. You don't do any OBYC setup here. This document is just a way of capturing the shipment cost from your freight order. And once you post the shipment cost in settlement document, it will automatically create a service PO and service entry sheet, what we used to have in a logistic execution process. Okay, so it's a three-way match. So the main function of the settlement is to pass the logistical cost from freight order to create a service PO service entry sheet automatically. These are not manual created, all automatic. So if your setup is correct, then it will automatically create a service PO service entry sheet, and then you do your MIRO and you settle your invoice with the carrier. So this is the entire process.
So in case of for example, if I'm internal, I mean I'm a shipper scenario. Okay, I'm using my internal transportation, and for example, I'm moving my inventory from India to Singapore. Okay, and this is completely let's say within India itself. I'm moving it from either from Kerala to Cochin to Delhi. Okay, so there is I have my own transport, and there is a cost associated with that transport. which I think will capture in the transportation as a transportation charge, and when we post it, it goes into the service you are saying, okay, service entry and acceptance. But when we move, actually, when we receive certain, I mean, PO or anything, the transportation cost, actually what we are obliged to pay, okay, that needs to be added into the material cost. So in this case, how would that information would be passed? Is there any way, or?
Yeah, so that is what we call as the cost distribution. Okay, so that means if you want to really add your transportation cost to your material cost, so that functionality is taken care by the fact that when FSD is posted or transferred, apart from your service PO and service entry sheet, we create an additional document called as an agency business document. So that agency business document is actually the document which actually help you to post the different delivery cost based on the delivery items. Okay, so for example, if we're consolidating 2 deliveries in one freight order, and as a sales profitability, so if I want to do a profitability analysis, just to give an example, so delivery 1 costs 600, delivery 2 costs 400 based on the amount of products you're transporting. So this distribution level, what you do is basically defined in your agency document. So what SAP says, whenever you want to do a cost distribution, the cost distribution for outbound impacts your profitability, and for inbound, it impacts your material valuation. That means your material price in your accounting view gets updated with the transportation cost. So if you want to view, or if you want to have that functionality, you need to implement the agency business document. So agency business document will actually map the different charges, the charge types, the condition types, which make up your logistical cost with the different ECC condition types. And then this will actually needs to be added into your agency document, whereby you can see, okay, this is my sales order, this is my delivery, this is my freight order, this is my settlement document, and this is the cost which I'm paying per delivery. So in that way, it will impact based on what type of scenario you're activating. For inbound, material valuation; for outbound, profitability analysis. Okay.
What is the component you sell? Agency?
Agency business document, ABD.
Agency business document.
Agency, yeah, agency business document. Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So generally, I mean, when you implement TM, this is also implemented, right? Because this is a basic requirement to distribute the cost and to, and the receiving side and.
Not really. Not really. Means this is flexible. This is not a mandatory thing. If you want to create agency business, you may do it, but the major thing is that they require it in terms of mainly for outbound process. They require it for as much like to just to pay the carrier. So for that you don't need cost distribution. If you want to view your profitability and all, then obviously you have to activate that, or else it's not required.
Yeah. I mean, I know. I mean, most of the customers. I mean, because the material cost, they will not get the proper valuation of the material cost if the carrier cost is not captured and distributed into the material. It just simply lies in a different bucket. So most of the customers whom I work with, at least on transportation, they said that they want to distribute those additional charges, whatever it is there, maybe excise duties or transportation cost, whatever it is there, to each and individual material which is there as part of that consignment, so that it is equally shared between those products.
Yeah, this is mainly applicable for inbound process. Material valuation updates only occur for inbound.
Yeah, correct. This I'm talking about with respect to the inbound. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, and just coming back to the question of licensing. Licensing here means if you are buying S4HANA, basically you don't need to pay.
Veera, before we go into that question, I have one follow-up question for the pricing part. So in our traditional system that we know that whatever the shipment cost that we can drive into the customer billing document with the condition type process, right? So that we were following. So But in case of when we replacing shipment to the, let's say, TM, stack, so how we can manage this pricing part? I wanted to, charge to
First
the
of
customer.
all, yeah. First of all, we don't have any standard functionality which will transfer your logistical cost directly to a billing cost. You need to make an enhancement. That is the first thing. Second thing is that only in the cloud version, if we are actually implementing SAP TM in cloud, they have just recently launched a scenario in cloud whereby on the basis of settlement, the billing document, your billing cost can be updated. But that is not available in your on-premise solution as of now. That is the first thing. Second thing, even if you don't have it, the option is you do your normal TM process, and then in your ECC process, maybe once you do your delivery, and then once you create your billing document, you can create the same component of your condition types what you have in your TM as ECC, and then trigger your pricing procedure accordingly and do the billing. That is what we generally do. But automatic transfer will not happen. It is not supported as of now in standard.
So let's say in ACC we have the two cases. One is the the vendor, the purchase order will create, that settlement process will happen.
Yes.
That is the I'm not talking about. I'm talking about the customer friend. Customer friend in the shipment cost document, we have the pricing procedure where we have the condition types, right? That will drives your tags and everything. Then so that can we can transfer to the billing document. So this is the traditional system that we have, right? So you mean to say that in TM we don't have the pricing component, so which is not enabled in the on-premise version. This is what you want
Yeah.
to say.
So what I'm saying, the cost which is incurred as part of the transportation is not transported to the billing
Okay.
document VF01 automatically.
Okay.
Okay,
Right.
because VF01 is for your customer payment. But what we are doing is transportation. We are not paying anything to the carrier who is a customer, right? So we need to segregate these two line of business. One for business, for customer, where we trigger mainly from sales order delivery. They have a different billing option. But for transportation, we are not paying to any customer, right? We are paying directly to the carrier. That's
So
what we are doing in TM.
so that is again it will drives to your Incoterms, right? FOB and C&F. So if it is customer needs to pay the product cost plus carrier charge, then that needs to be added to the billing.
Then you need to, that's what I said, in standard, as of now, in only in the cloud product, they have launched, they have this functionality, what we call as a 3EP functionality, where they are directly making the freight settlement value, that is your transportation cost, available into your billing document. But in standard, you don't have that option. You need to basically do an enhancement, do an RFC call, call all your cost components from TM into your billing document, and then do the pricing procedure determination in billing, and then display them.
Okay, I got it. Thank you.
Okay.
Yep.
Now coming back to the licensing part, basically single instance system, so you don't need to pay any extra amount. But the thing is that when I say single instance, you have two portions of TM: basic and advanced. Basic means you have lot of restriction. You can just create this the basic cycle of a Elytra. That is what we call as a basic module. You cannot run optimizer, you cannot do any order based planning. Lot of restrictions are there. So if your client is a small volume shipment client where they don't want too much of exhaustive planning, then you can say you can save this amount of money. But in most cases, the basic do not work too much. You have to go for the advanced. So in case you want to do an extensive TM to EWM integration, you have to go for the advanced license. So in that case, you need to pay extra amount for that, and the amount is quite a hefty amount. But yeah, so means it's embedded does not mean always free. But if you're going for the basic, it's free. But in advance, you need to pay something.
Okay.
Do you have a comparison chart of what is covered
Yes.
in what penalties are covered in
Yes,
basic and
that I will send it to you. I'll send it to you.
okay.
So if you see now, I just go back to this was the basically the slide for before S4HANA was there, where you used to have OTR and DTR. So from sales order, you create OTR, create freight unit, do the planning, create freight order, and then you create a delivery. Delivery creation can happen either from ECC order or based on the transportation planning in TM, you can also create a delivery. Okay. So then once the delivery is created, another requirement document is there, DTR, and then the freight unit which was assigned initially to order based, it will now come to delivery based, and then you create a shipment document, do an execution. You can do it using event management, and then you do the settlement. So this was the process flow we used to have in our standalone TM system. But if you now are into S4HANA, more simplification, because you don't need any middleware like PI. You don't need to do any sifting, whereby you need to send your master data across two landscape, not required. So it is just consolidating your order and delivery, creating freight unit, charge management, settlement, and carrier invoice. That's it.
So what is the triggering point whether we can create freight unit on the basis of the order or on the basis of the delivery?
See, my suggestion will be to suggest always from delivery, because the actual goods movement happens in delivery. But the thing what you need to consider is like where you want to perform your planning and how you want to create your delivery. If you say that your delivery is created based on transportation planning, then in that case you need to create your freight unit from order. Once a freight unit is created from order, then you perform your planning in TM. Based on that planning, a proposal will be sent from TM to ECC to create your delivery. In case you want to create your delivery manually before planning, okay, then obviously it makes sense to create your freight unit from delivery. So at which point of time your planning should happen and at which point of time your delivery should happen, that is a deciding factor.
But in that case, when you, let's say if you say that freight unit should create from delivery, so still we will get loose or get we won't get the exact visibility of how the shipments can be planned, right? So which means if at the very first time itself from the sales order, if you created freight unit, then it process the delivery, so your visibility will be more. This is what I personally feel, but I don't know how exactly it will work out. So this is a scenario sometime I have seen in my project as well. So they would be creating as soon as order created, OTR would be get created. So and from the TM it will push the delivery. So I'm just trying to understand.
Yeah, that depends from client to client. Yeah, that depends from client to client. The deciding factor, as I told you, is how you are creating your delivery and whether you really need that visibility at an order level, or really you need the visibility of your transportation based on your delivery. That is, once the goods movement starts, then only you need to do the planning. That is the factor what your client needs to decide, that how I am going to monitor my planning. Because see, the thing is that if you are doing a order based planning, one thing you need to know, for example, you are doing an order creation 1 month ago, and now if you are doing a delivery movement after 1 month, for example, too much of advanced planning does not help you too much, because it goes into a little bit of criticality in that case. But if you say no, we do an instant generation of these deliveries and make a movement, what we call as a what we call as an emergency order or rapid order or something like that, or we only have a transit duration of 1 day, and then we do a planning to make the delivery relevant for transportation. So all these factors play a point in the deciding from which level you want to trigger.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
See, what is the best practice? I mean, of course you have two options. One
No
is
best
your
practice.
and
No best practice. No best practice. The only
no,
thing you need to give these two
no.
options to business.
No.
Yeah.
What I want to say over here is that, see, your sales order, your sales order will give you very broader picture, okay, and based on your availability and everything, whatever it is committed in the sales order might not be exactly does not replicate the true picture of what you're gonna deliver it. Okay, it's just that fictitious order. No, actual your the delivery part and your actual actual what you're going to ship, it will come from your delivery and your warehouse picks and confirmation. So in this case, I mean, if you are going for a customer and you say that what is the way how you wanna suggest the TM to run, as a consultant, how you would recommend that? What is the best price? What is the optimized
Yeah,
and customer can benefit out from?
optimized means, as I told you in S4HANA, I'll not say best practice, okay, but I will always like to go based on the delivery, okay, because delivery is actually the starting point for which you basically you are ready that your delivery is triggered. That means my actual movement is going to happen, and based on that, my planner should now come and do the plan, okay, rather than doing a planning which is maybe a few days old, and maybe we don't create something delivery at later point of time, maybe, just to give an example, okay. So in that case, it is always better to always do from delivery, okay, because ultimately, even if you do from order also, ultimately the freight unit also needs to be assigned to delivery, okay. So if you want to have a too much visibility before you actually do the goods movement, that's okay, then you use this order management part. But I think it's more better to do it from delivery rather than creating the freight unit and creating too many documents at the initial instance.
But what is the visibility you are looking for when you do it from an order level? I mean, what exact extra visibility you get when you're planning for the order level?
We don't give any extra visibility. That's what I said. Like, extra visibility means you are just putting a head point to the planner. Okay, now my order is created. Now you be prepared to do the planning. So once my delivery is created, you do the planning. That means you perform your planning, and then my delivery will be created. So that is the trigger point you are giving to the planner. But if you are saying that I'm creating directly from the delivery, then you are saying to the planner, okay, you don't have to worry too much on the delivery now. Delivery has been done. You don't have to send any proposal back to ECC. All has been done from ECC. Now you just do the route selection, carrier selection, and the the resource selection, and do the execution part. So this depends on how your company wants to manage the flow.
So in your expertise, what all projects you have done, which is the ideal
Mainly
way?
delivery.
Mainly delivery.
Mainly delivery. Yes.
And this is for which all industry sectors you have done it delivery based?
Yes, yes, yes. Yeah.
I mean, which industry sector?
See, this applies for any industry sector, whether you work for CPG, whether you work for mining, whether you work for, even I was working for one of the, like what to say, chemical industry also. They did the same thing. But again, I told you, as it depends, like what is the objective, at which point of time you want to monitor your shipment. That is monitor your TM. That is the point which will decide, and what type of planning you want to do and how you want to create your delivery. So that is what the thing that will decide whether it's order based or delivery based.
So, Veera, one of the point that I'm seeing, that when we are creating, let's say, delivery. So once you create the delivery, we may not have exact career planning. Then we may stuck it there, right? So let's say when our order is pharma industry, so orders are every time, so this will be an emergency orders, right? So the medicals should goes to the hospital, and uh, you know doctors are waiting for surgery. So such a situation, so what happens, let's say, I'm just trying to explain, elaborate your scenario, what you are explained, and I just see that what is a challenge. So let's say we create the deliveries. The moment they create the deliveries, but we do not have the careers, so then the deliveries cannot be process further. So that is one of the roadblock that I'm seeing. But whereas it is came of it coming back to the orders, and TM looks okay, these many orders are created, so which are the orders are has got customer priority. So on the basis of the certain shipping condition or some other request delivery date, and looking that and material confirmation. So look at, so TM is looking and seeing that, oh, this order is, this is the destination, this is the career that we can plan accordingly. We got the confirmation, then TM can give the proposal and go ahead for the further delivery and shipment process, right? So this is the gap that I'm seeing, because here the bottleneck point is the the nature of the business. So that nature of the business is triggers, and let's say order to delivery scenario. As soon as you get orders, and it should be delivered. This is what your business context. Um, then we would say that is always it should go from the order, not from the delivery. So then challenge is still we may get blocked in the deliveries. I'm not sure that is all the time it is
No,
applicable.
no, you can get rid of that, right? You can get rid of that because whatever you have said, you have used two terminologies. One is your emergency situation. So that's why SAP has given the option to trigger your TM based on shipping condition. So what we do, if it is an emergency order, we put based on your shipping condition emergency, and then we tell to the TM system, okay, either for order or delivery, if you read the shipping condition, because whether it is whether it is in VBAK or whether you put it on LIKP, anywhere delivery, you always have the shipping condition. Based on the shipping condition, you trigger the freight unit. So that's what I said. There is no constraint, no restriction, and no gap at all. You can do any part. And secondly, another scenario, what you have said about medical emergency, I just tell you of another thing. Whenever you are transporting some dangerous goods, for example, we always have the option to create a rush order. Rush order means you don't need to create delivery manually or from TM. You just, to the batch job, you directly create a delivery. So in that case, you don't need to maintain the freight unit at order level, because rush order means order as well as delivery is created automatically. So in that case, you don't need to give any time to your planner to plan it on your both at your order and delivery. You directly do it on delivery, and you just move the goods out of your premises and make it available to the pharma industry. Because I worked in 2-3 different projects in pharma industry where they are very much strict about these compliances and these regulations and emergency and rush orders. For rush order scenarios, it makes more sense to do it on a delivery level, actually, because you can directly create the automate the delivery creation and make it relevant for TM to do the transportation planning and all. So that's why I told you there is no specific best practice rule for TM. You can control it at any way. Okay, that's the beauty of this.
Right.
Okay. So this is the part which, and as I told you, like the scenarios, what we'll cover is your LSP as well as a shipper scenario. I will try to bring, I just tell you what I will cover in the content. Maybe Naveen will share that with you. But first of all, I will give you an overview again of the industry, not of the process, industry. So because all of you are quite experienced, and so from architect point of view, it is very important to know, the deployment options. What are the architecture which makes up your TM? Okay, what are the different integration points you have to consider when you are working on any type of proposal or solutioning? That part I will cover initially. Then I will start with the shipper scenario, where I will start first of all in the organization, both config as well as end user level description, master data. Then I will start with the order management, planning, execution. I will also show you like how we can integrate your TM with EM, the basic, because here we don't have the embedded. In embedded we don't have EM. Okay, I will cover that part also. I will cover the PPF, the post processing framework technology, how TM works, and I will also show you like I will also means in the last class obviously I do that the technical part. Technical part means the technically it's based on it's a web UI product, right? So in that case the technology is based on BOPF. So how BOPF works, what are the different database tables, baddies, and enhancement framework you need to consider when you are writing your functional specs. So all those things I will cover in the end. And I will also cover the LSP scenario, forwarding order scenario. Yeah. So this in this way and this is the scenario, like this multimodal transport scenario, which you are currently seeing in the PPT. That is the part scenario that we will cover, because all the scenarios ultimately fall into this one.
Right. Yeah. Now, Vera, the one of the other question that may have, let's say the customer is in, as on their system landscape is traditional ECC as well as TM standalone. So now we are moving into an S4, right? So ECC, yes, we can convert into an S4 stack, right? So what is the approach for the conversion process of the TM?
So in that case, because you did not have TM, so that's why as I told you, if you are buying the licensing component of embedded TM, you will actually get the TM already within your S4HANA component. Okay,
No,
so you don't have,
I'm asking the conversion approach, because when you talk about the ECC conversion, we are not going to, greenfield implementation, right? We are going for the conversion migration approach, right? So is there any way TM?
okay. So that means it's not brown, it's not a greenfield implementation you are doing, rather you are saying you are going into the SLT, that means landscape transformation project, right? So for
Yeah.
that, you have to do a lot of things are there. I don't know whether, because we already have a separate classes for migration. Okay, so there we
Okay.
actually show what are the different types of reports,
Yeah.
consistency note, what are the different types of migration tools we use. So all those things, your CVI, that means your customer vendor integration, business partner integration, how it works, all has to be done.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
fine. That is for
So
the
first of all,
that is for the ECC conversion, right? So that part is clear. So
yes.
when we have this TM standalone system, so that I need to plug in into an S4 landscape. So ECC, yes, we know that yes, we can do the conversion. Same way, can we get all the let's say TM conversion part
Your
as well? Maybe you
TM,
can look at in that point. Maybe
no, your TM initially was what? Yeah, your TM initially was not there, right? When you were working on ECC, or your TM was there in a standalone server, now you need to bring
yeah,
into embedded. That is what you're
yeah,
working.
that is what I'm asking. So in the let's say current
See,
landscape, I have ECC as well as TM. So both are in standalone, right? So now we are moving into an S4 embedded one. So I wanted to take this two system into S4 conversion, not into a greenfield. Because if I go for a greenfield again, I have to configure from the scratch and everything. I don't want to do that one. I just wanted to convert the system, both system into a
my
one.
suggestion, yeah, my suggestion will be that in case you are going for an this type of conversion, okay, see, basically TM, if it is standalone, you can also have a sidecar TM in embedded. I hope you know this option.
Yes,
I will discuss this.
yeah.
Sidecar in embedded. Sidecar in embedded means one instance your S4HANA will be there where you can perform your SDMM. Another instance you will have your TM sidecar, but it will also be in S4HANA.
No. I'm not looking for the sidecar. So let's say after the conversion, then I
Okay.
will have only the one system. I will have only the one S4 system. So whatever is standalone that being used, it will get
That will
replaced.
be a challenge. I'll come to you later on, because see what SAP says. Basically, you can do the conversion or migration of TM if you are moving more into a cloud version. That's why they're
Okay.
given some notes and reports are there.
Right.
But if you are moving directly from standalone to S4 embedded into that, it's a type of an upgrade. What SAP calls is an upgrade, but SAP suggests to do a phase implementation only, because this direct conversion like that has some glitches there. We'll discuss when we'll begin the class. I'll tell you what is the best way to do that. Yeah, I
Yeah.
have some framework.
Okay, and so the final question that I have on the S4 cloud, as we know that transportation also moved into cloud version. So, would you able to give some highlights on the cloud, how to implement? Because everything
Yes.
is kind of guided configuration approach, right? And not we are into and what we
Yes.
do in the on-premise. So, would you able to give some highlights on that
Yes.
area?
Yes. I will give an highlight of that.
Okay, all right.
And will you be touch basing with the EWM since in S4?
Okay. Yeah.
The map for SAP is also from a warehousing and logistic execution side. EWM is also the core component for the future. Will you be touch basing the integration of TM with EWM?
See, actually, we have two courses. One is your basic, one is your advanced. In the advanced, daily we go for TM, EWM integration. But actually, we then what we do in case some students request that in the basic you also show us TM to EWM integration. I will show you.
Okay. Okay.
So the basic cycle of how the freight order creation can help in the TU creation and all those steps I'll show you.
So what do you mean basic and advanced sessions? So is the training has been classified into two
Yeah,
different categories?
yeah, because see, it's an endless topic, right? If we're going into some new modules, it's an endless topics. Like many people ask, you teach us BRA plus quotation, you teach us collaboration portal. I'm telling you, these are all very much advanced topics because these are
Yep.
not required in all the projects. Okay. Now, for the fresh, means those people who are learning new, in the first, I'm talking about around 2 years back when we tried to club all these things into one content. Students said that no, these are too much high level for us. Okay, because this is also requires some technical part. If you are working in BRA plus, for example. So then, based on the different suggestions, what we have done, we have moved around 6 to 7 topics out of the basic because first of all, we should know the basic. Then only we should know all about the added features, right? So that's what I was saying. Like we have differentiated into the basic and the advanced. So basic means it's all starts with the scenario what I showed you. But advanced means basically you know TM, you have worked for 3-4 years into TM, and now you want to know more about the added topics in TM, which may not be implemented in across all the projects, but maybe your specific project requires it. Okay, so in that way we have classified it. But generally the demos and all we generally do it for basic because we always request that first of all your basics should be clear. You should know the basic cycle of TM, basic elements of TM, and then you go for the advanced topics if it is required.
Right.
So
Okay.
the syllabus, the extensive syllabus. I mean, I like to have a look onto the syllabus of TM and
Yes.
just to
Yes.
make sure that I mean the all aspects of CAD. If you can share it, it will be helpful.
Yes. Yeah, I will ask Naveen to send it. In the
Yeah.
initial content, you will just find it that TM EWM integration will not be there, but I will include it in the course if it is required. Okay. So that part I
Yeah,
just tell you now.
sure, sure. So just want to make sure that with the latest functionalities like package builders, load optimizers, EWM integration, these kind of things are covered.
No, that's what I told you. That's what I told you. Package builder and all, without knowing the basics, you cannot do it because package builder has so many core functionalities and complex functionalities. You need to understand one thing here. So you do transportation either based on product or on a pallet level. Okay. So without knowing the product level, if you're directly doing at pallet level, you cannot work on TM because in package building and all, lot of configuration settings are there as well as business process is required to be understood because we are all learning on a new topic, right? So for example, if I'm working on EWM and if I directly go into cartonization and I try to learn that in addition to what I'm learning, it will be a ocean, I'm telling you. Okay, so what I tell you, first go through the basic content. It will help you to know how the basic scenario works. Okay, then go for the added features. So we have not included package builder now. We have included package builder in our advanced content because package builder is not suddenly you can know in one. It does not work in one click. Okay, lot of, and SAP is still building up that product. It's a lot of developments. SAP is still doing it. They have just recently launched a new node also in TM 9.6. So you can understand it's still more into a development phase and all what you can say. You go through the content, let us know. But package
Okay.
builder, I'm sure will be in the advanced. We should not do it in the basic course.
Yeah. So once we are good. I
Rest
mean,
all we are doing it.
yeah, from an
Yeah.
initial point of view, once we have a good understanding, we can still touch base
Yes.
since these points
Yes. Yes.
as the syllabus itself,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
See, actually, I'm more from an industry. Okay, industry means I always rather than doing some means Because apart from system, I always try to bring more experience, how we can make some things more simplified. Okay, that should be our objective, because see, learning wise you can learn through books and all, but you need to know how you can link different processes within your system. That's what is consulting, right? So basic wise, just improve your knowledge and all, first of all, to that level, and then go for the enlarged part, like the added functionalities. That will help you. Because means, you know, like today, every day SAP is coming up with new notes, new features. It's very difficult to cope up. I'm telling you, means that's a real fact, because SAP is not doing your, you know, like the OSS, right? You see OSS messages and all, right? With every OSS messages, what they get from the client, they're building the new functionalities and they're implementing in the next service pack. It's very difficult to understand. I'm telling you, it's not a very easy thing what they're doing. But you know, in such a competitive environment with OTM and all, they have to do it. No, they don't have any option now. So try to go through the basics, clear your basics clearly, be confident on that, then go for the advanced. It will help you in that way also. And obviously I'm there to guide you. Whatever questions you have out of the syllabus also, I'm open to any type of question. We'll give you our email. You can send any type of email wherever you are stuck anywhere. Send us email. All the files, certification materials, all will be provided to you by Naveen. And we try to complete within 1.5 to 2 months, so that, and we give you system access even after that. I think 3 months you have system access even after the class ends. And you can contact us anytime, wherever you require, whenever you require, on any topics. Okay, so yeah, and you also have the recording files after every classes, so that you can revise and do the practice and all, system access, everything you get. Okay then, so if you have any other question or
So, Veera, Sonish here. So when we are planning to start this batch?
I can start anytime, this week or from Monday. Based on your confirmation, Naveen has to tell me and then I start.
All right, okay.
So it's up to you when you confirm to Naveen. Okay.
Okay, thank you, Veera.
Okay.
Okay.
Then enjoy your day. Okay. Bye bye. See you everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.